Hello and welcome to another Shadowverse video. So today we're checking out a different RuneCraft deck. So we've checked out the spell boost one. This is a Natura rune. Probably not the best Natura rune that could possibly be out there, as I haven't had as much success as I have with spell boost, but that could possibly be because spell boost is dominating pretty hard and this matchup is quite difficult when you're coming up against it. Overall though, this deck is reasonably good. It does its job quite nicely. It's a bit more expensive than spell boost. It's the only main reason I wouldn't recommend it to especially any new players or even returning players overall. It was just something different, change of pace for the rune archetype, since I haven't messed around with Natura decks really at all for quite a while, so there's nothing too crazy in here. Caddy Sorcerer is a really nice addition as a new card, as it is a good clear. Sentry Gate, another okay card, has some good synergy with some of the other cards here that are amulet based, and that works out well for us, so we're going to get right into it and check it out. Alright, first game here, we're up against Sword. Sword actually I've found not to be the craziest matchup overall. It's actually not too bad to go up against. Typically you can get around most of their cards these days, and that's not so hard. You gotta love them Grandmaster card backs though, they are pretty nice. I've never bothered to push to Grandmaster, but one day I might. So, kicking us off here, we do get at least the Arcane Aether. It's an okay turn 1 play if we have nothing else, since we can set Desert Pathfinder up for our turn 2, which would potentially give us the, of course, a great tree combination, to go with the Pyromancer, which is actually really good. Pyromancer has become a pretty good card for clearing out early game boards. Not so great in the late, but definitely good in the early to mid, although it does have some utility in the late game if comboed with other cards. Arrow Elementalist gets to come down with Rush. If I had played that correctly, I actually should have played the tree first, then played Arrow Elementalist, thus giving us another tree, but that was just me still getting used to the deck and not playing around Natura combinations properly. You will notice that a little bit as I ease my way back into some of these archetypes. So we go with the Pyromancer, as with an Evo, it's actually going to clear this board pretty easily, and I can even set up the Great Tree again, which is pretty valuable. Viridia Magna is a pretty decent card as well. It does do a lot of damage as far as clearing stuff out. Not so much to face, of course, because it's 0 attack, but a very key card for getting clears, and that's what this deck tends to focus on. Clearing out and getting in damage wherever it kind of can, as you'll see. So Geo Elementalist, building up our count for trees, is all we can really do here. And it's not really a bad way to kick things off. The Ivory Sword Dance is not good. It's actually one of the more dangerous cards Sword can possibly play. Fortunately for us, our Magna is a perfect play to counter. It sets up a pretty nice board for the start of their turn. A 4-6 ward is really nothing to sneeze at on turn 6. Aether of the Warrior Wing coming down, nothing too harsh. Warring Flame with the Evo, that's a little bit of an annoyance, since it does get over our 4-6 pretty easily. Fortunately, Carly Cat, Caddy Sorcerer, however we want to go with it. I'm terrible with names of things. Either way, doesn't matter. Easy clear out here. Removes that board. Sets up a pretty nice 5-7. That's why it is one of the few really good legendaries added for Rune, for that kind of archetype. Actually wouldn't mind testing it potentially in Spell Boost to a degree, as its ability is not too bad. So going for the Arcane Aether again, mainly getting tree, looking for draw. We can go for the Clash of Hero play, which will let us at least wipe this board out. And at the moment, that's probably our best bet long term, is to just wipe out the board and get damage in where we can. Also, the fact that Caddy Sorcerer here actually minimizes the max health of your opponent is really cool. It's a mechanic we've only really seen Dragon utilize a lot, and usually it's against itself. Seeing it being able to use against the opponent is actually really interesting, especially if you want to limit heal decks like Haven. That could be a really good potential. And again, Caddy Sorceress, wonderful way to clear this out, as we can go for the Evo. Plus, of course, bringing it down to a max health of 10 doesn't hurt anything either. And right now we're trying to push for lethal as much as we can, so we just build a board, get a tree down, so in case we need to combo off. And they do get the Zeus, so this is actually quite dangerous. If the Zeus gets a good spread here, we could be in trouble. Fortunately, it only manages to reach 11 damage, which is not going to be enough to finish us off. That was a little bit of luck there that we needed, and fortunately that should work quite well, as the Viridia Magna will clear it out, and then we can easily go for lethal. Definitely worked in our favor. Now on to game 2. Rune versus Havencraft. It's a bit more interesting. Using the Natura rune, against Havencraft is not exactly my favorite kind of matchup. If you guys have any recommendations for improvements to the Natura rune decks too, definitely leave them in the comments below. I did a bit of searching around and I couldn't really find a lot as far as Natura RuneCraft decks went post this expansion, so maybe it's changed since obviously I made this video a couple days before you guys will see it, but you get my idea. It's a little awkward at the moment to find good decks that I like to want to try out and that I have the cards for. So a pretty standard start here, just getting the great tree on board. Really, that's what you want to have. You want to be able to keep getting a tree out as much as possible to generate value. So I go for the Mysterian Wisdom, mainly because I really want to get the spells that I can use to get Chaos Wielder down, as well as, of course, take advantage of their own abilities. The 3/3 was pretty okay to leave up and wasn't a big worry. And we can actually deal with this on turn 4 here. So Mysterian Circle with an Evo will take out the 4/4, since the 4/4 can't be targeted by spells and effects. And Clay Golem with the Evo is perfect, especially since Chaos Wielder can now come down. Chaos Wielder is just a really good draw engine card. That's why it's ran in a lot of rune decks. Makes a lot of sense too. So we'll go for Sentry Gate, mainly because they've got Evos active now and we can do some damage to them easily, which is good, especially since we're looking at our Caddy Sorceress and Apex Elemental as our big clears coming up. So it's a really good start. Especially with this Grand Knight Evo, means their health actually won't really increase, since it's negated basically by our amulet. So we can go for the Apex Elemental. It's a good way to actually get rid of this. I could have probably just went for Caddy, but I did want to hold off on it because I know what boards are coming up next, and I felt like I could generate better value in the next couple of turns. And I did decide to focus more on the Great Tree play as well, getting as many of those down as possible, since we have got Riley in hand and we've got a Riley in the deck still. We did run into a problem here. That 5/4 is going to be a real nightmare to deal with normally. It does mean we have to sacrifice the 2/3 here, and that's not really a fun time. Although I could have used the Clash of Heroes. If I had used that properly, I might have been able to get rid of it. Although, of course, Clash of Heroes can't target, so I would have only been wasting it at that point. Which is why we had to go with the more of a pain in the ass route. And there's the Holy Marksman going for the heal. Luckily they can't up their health over 15. And we do negate most of it, which is great. So it didn't really make any difference. And Pyromancer is an easy clear. And we can play another Great Tree if we want. Why not? We've also got the Aero Elementalist, which does end up giving us a Sentry Gate. It's about a 50-50, I think, if we were going to get Sentry Gate or a Great Tree. And Sentry Gate's not really the worst thing, as we do need a good way to get rid of the Amulet proc here coming up, so it could be worse. Although this is not a great way for us to have to deal with this. So I go for the Sentry Gate because I can't remove the 4/3 any other way at the moment. Geo Elementalist gives us a chance to draw. And we've still got the Clash, which isn't really going to do anything for us, except for, of course, getting rid of one follower. So we're really stuck this turn, as the 4 and the 1 there are a nightmare, and the wards are too hard to deal with. We do have the Viridian, which is a good way to get rid of both the wards, but that's really my only good play. Fortunately, we did get the Riley, thanks to the Natura Great Tree play, but is it going to be enough to actually win this? Not this turn, it won't be at least, but with the Clash of Heroes, I could potentially clear this whole board out, which is fairly decent. And we do lose the chance at Viridia Magna, but I'm not really worried. The Holy Marksman, that's going to hurt a little bit. Especially if they can heal twice here. Which they can, double repair mode play. We have just 1 health remaining. So we're definitely desperate to get a heal off anywhere soon. Before that amulet can proc, because as soon as that ward comes up and we have to attack into it, we're going to lose. So we've got to dig through our deck as best we kind of can until we can find something to use. Traveler's Respite to actually only heal, and we did end up getting one. So that is going to buy us at least 1 more turn. That's if we don't win the next turn with Riley. It's just going to come down to their draw. Saintly Leader, oh, that's definitely a rough one. Because Riley still isn't going to win us the game yet. Because we're a little bit short. Luckily, another Viridian will take out the 14/14 and give us a nice ward. And we've got just enough health, plus an extra respite, to actually allow us to get rid of the ward no problem. So we are trying to set ourselves up and get as much as we can off this. It was definitely a close game going into this one. There's the Borong. And they also got the Hollowed Cave Shrine. Luckily, this is going to end the game for us. Riley is now well and truly lethal without any issue. And we had enough health to actually survive both those pings, which gives us a pretty nice lethal to finish off that game. So while this deck definitely has its fun moments, I wouldn't class it as the better RuneCraft. I would definitely stick to Spell Boost RuneCraft, unless of course you have a better list than this. But there's definitely some room for improvements and things that I'd probably mess around with a little bit until I got used to it. But for the most part, it's hard for me to think of what I would change immediately. Like with the current meta, maybe with some shifts, I might swap things out. Like I would keep probably the Pyromancer and clear section, but mess around with stuff like Aero Elementus, Geo, and things like that in mostly numbers, not so much anything else. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and find the tag list in the description below. Until next time, guys, see ya.